Welcome. We are now going to have you meet some of our current students. And we want you to ask them questions. So please use the Q&A button at the bottom. And our moderator, who I will let him introduce himself, Elijah, he will take over from here. So please, this is student to student. So ask away. Take it over, Elijah.
There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Elijah Ballesteros. I'm a biochemistry major with a psych minor from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm here at home and I will be the moderator. So I'll let all the panelists introduce themselves now. I guess we'll start with Neela.
Hi, I'm Nila Binneker. I am a double major. I'm doing instrumental performance on a French horn, and I'm also a psych major, and I'm pre-med. Oh, and I'm a first year.
Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm a first year and I'm an education major. I'm from Vermont, but right now I'm still in Texas, just because of the whole virus, you know. But yeah.
Kinsey.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Fallis. I'm a sophomore. I'm a psych major and a race and ethnicity studies minor.
And I think we're waiting on one more panelist, but we'll get started. So do any of the students have questions for us? Feel free to ask us anything. None of the parents are here, so you can ask us anything about student life and a unique opportunity. So we'll get started and I'll ask the first question. Why did everyone choose Southwestern? Starting with Mackenzie, please.
Okay, so I chose Southwestern just because I knew that I really wanted a small community school. I always had the saying, like, I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. And so all the schools that I looked at were all small liberal arts colleges. And so just because I knew that I wouldn't fit in if I went to like UT or A&M, just kind of, I know that I'd be really overwhelmed with a lot of students. And so like, as soon as I stepped on Southwestern's campus and saw how beautiful it was and saw how like interactive the student life was, I just like immediately fell in love with the campus and everything. Yeah.
Awesome. And Grace, why did you choose Southwestern?
So when I was applying to schools, I didn't even know Southwestern was a school. And then I was on this website and it like popped up and I was like, oh, I'll just apply for fun. Like I'd never been to Texas before. Like I know nothing about Texas. And then I applied, I got in, it was the first school I got into. So I was like, oh, well, I'll have to visit. And I just fell in love with it. I met my advisor and she's like, she is amazing. I was gonna say, I didn't know if I could swear, but she's like the best person ever, like super cool. And I also loved how small the classes were. And I really liked that I could really get like a hands-on education at the school.
Nila, you want to go?
I chose Southwestern because well, first of all, I also, just like Grace, I didn't really know anything about the school. And I'm from like Texas. Like I went to high school here and I hadn't, like, it was so small, like I'd never heard of it. And my counselor was like, hey, like you should check out this school. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I just like applied and I wasn't even like thinking about it. And I remember like visiting the campus the first time and I really like, I loved all like the trees and it was so pretty. And then I still like wasn't sure. And then I meeting like the faculty is what really like did it for me. Cause they were all so like, especially the music faculty, when I came in for my audition, they were all super like nice and welcoming. And they were like, we can't wait to like have you here. And they were just telling me like about all the stuff they did. And I was like, man, I really want to do that. So ended up here.
Awesome. And our last panelist finally came through. Evan, if you want to introduce yourself, he got the wrong link, so it says my name, but Evan, go ahead.
Can everybody hear me? Am I good? Awesome. Hi, I'm Evan Kimball. I'm a junior at Southwestern. I'm a business and psychology major. I used to play basketball here. I apologize for being late. I actually just came from a class, so glad I could talk to you guys today. I'm also Greek life here, so any questions about that, I'd be happy to do what I can.
Evan, if you want to tell us why you chose Southwestern.
I chose Southwestern because I wanted to be flexible. So I wanted to come to a school that would give me the opportunity to, have a lot of experiences. So, that's what I did. I came here and I played basketball, joined Greek life. I decided to pursue a variety of academic interests and I got to study abroad. And so I really wanted that exposure from a small school. And I didn't think that, so someplace bigger would really provide me with that.
All right, so we got our first question from JC, and they write, how was the transition period from high school to freshman year of college? I'll go ahead and start with this one. I went to an early college high school, and I had a unique experience. So taking a lot of hard college classes was not too difficult, and I know a lot of my peers had a lot of AP classes. So that in that aspect, it wasn't hard. As far as living away from home, I thought it was fun. I thought it was liberating. Not that my parents were helicopter parents or anything. It was just different, and I was able to experience new things. So if any of the panelists want to jump on in and answer, again, transition period from college, high school to college.
I agree with Elijah. I think it wasn't necessarily like the classes were challenging in like a different way because in high school, they're really just focused on you like spitting the information back out and like, did you memorize this? But in college, it was a lot different in the sense of like, they really want you to connect, especially with Southwestern, your teachers really want you to like connect it with other fields or like think about other things. So that was challenging. But like the biggest thing for me was definitely like adjusting to like, you kind of have no schedule like that is enforced on you. Like you have to do it yourself, and you like if you're laying in bed you're like, oh, I don't want to go to class or whatever, like technically you can, but like if you keep doing that, it's bad, and there's no one who's gonna like come after you and be like, you need to go to class right now. You just have to like make yourself do it. So that was like really hard for me because I was like, oh, all this freedom, I'm just gonna sleep all day, and then I was like, oh, it's not good. So definitely making your own schedule and like following through with like everything that you're in.
I also agree. The transition from high school to freshman year was really hard for me, actually. I was super excited for college and like the newfound freedom that would come with it. But I'm from Texas, like I'm from Dallas, so I'm only 3 hours away from home. So that's kind of nice. So I had a luck, kind of that part that I got to go home whenever I wanted, but also kind of finding the balance between like home life and school life, because I'm super close with my parents and I'm very lucky to have that relationship. So it was really hard to kind of learn to distance myself from them. And then like a whole new social aspect, it was really hard for me to make friends my first year. Luckily, I had a great roommate and I lived in a quad with like 7 other girls. So that was really great. And I got to join Greek life. So I made friends really easily after that whole thing. But I think it is kind of what you make of it. Like be sure that I took really easy classes my first semester, so that was really nice. I actually only took 12 credits, which is now kind of biting me because now I have to make up credits, but I only took 12 credits just because I wanted to like ease into class and ease into college, which was really nice. So maybe think about that or just keep that in mind when choosing a university and choosing what classes you want to take. But it's definitely doable. It's different for everyone. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't struggle too much in the transition. I think the biggest thing, honestly, is trying to stay motivated and on top of your work, because all that motivation becomes internal. But with that, the teachers do, or the professors do a really good job of creating an environment where you really do want to, excel and exceed. So I think the transition is really where you start pursuing things of your own interest, and you really have to develop that passion. It's important that you try and find that because I think it helps the process along.
When I came to Southwestern, so like I'm just finishing up my first year. I've had a blast, but it was definitely hard at first. And like I mentioned before, it was like I'm an out-of-state student, so it was kind of hard because I knew that I couldn't just like go home when I wanted to. But the best part about it was that like everyone that I met was so welcoming. They were like, "Yeah, come home with me." So like I had like so many different invitations for Thanksgiving, and that was just like it made me feel very comfortable because I didn't have to worry about having to fly home and spend money on a ticket when I knew I could just like go on a road trip and then meet their family and experience something new instead.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing their answers. Another question from Cade. Does the student population come out to support all the athletic teams, football, tennis, volleyball, cross country, etc.? So if anyone wants to speak as a student or Evan as an athlete.
Yes and no. I think each sport kind of has their own little, I don't know, groupies, I guess is what you would call them. Some sports are obviously more popular than most, but you don't, for our size, I would say that our sports events are very well attended, and at least with basketball, we always have a good crowd, and I've always appreciated it. So
On like a non-athlete point of view, I guess I'm in the pep band for the football teams, and so we go and like play at the football games. And so I can't speak for like every single sport, but I know at least for football, it's really fun to like go and like do the tailgating and see all the parents there, and like there's a decent student turnout. Like it's still a small school, so it's not going to be like UT Stadium, but like the vibe is really fun, and there's like a good amount of people there, and everyone's just hanging out, and there's food and stuff, so it's a lot of fun.
I would personally say that I've been to a lot of soccer games, basketball games, and lacrosse games. To any other sport, not really, but I usually go in a big group, and so I've always appreciated that, and I'm sure all my friends who are on the teams appreciated that. Most athletes will be in your classes. A third of the student population are athletes, so it's not like you don't know them. They're not like some separate group. Sometimes you live with them, same floor. They're not separated from you in the residence halls, so that's a great thing. Let's move on to the next question. Can the small student population make it kind of cliquey?
for sure, yeah, I would have to say yeah. I mean, it's difficult to avoid certain people at certain times, and I think that considering that it's important to go in freshman year with understanding that it is a small school and that it's likely that a lot of people, if you do something that you don't want people to know about, will find out.
I definitely I agree a little bit. Like it's really since there's not a lot of people, and so especially with smaller majors, like those end up grouping together. But I don't necessarily think like it being cliquey a little bit is bad. Like obviously if there's like news, it's gonna all get around pretty fast and stuff, but like it's really nice to have your group of people like in your major that like you really get along with, because they really understand like all your classes and like your schedule and like all like how hard it is and what you're struggling with, and you can rant to them about like a test or whatever. And since it's like a little clique in your major, it's not really a bad thing. It's kind of like a group of people that you're going to get along with, since like you have them and you're going through the same thing as them, I guess.
I'll go. So I definitely think it like can be cliquey, but I don't necessarily think that it's the bad type of cliquey that like the stereotype goes with it. I think it definitely can be, as it can be with any school. It's kind of what you make of it. But I think again, kind of like what you were saying, is like it has to do with like if you're in a sport, or if you're in a certain major, or like if you're in Greek life, if you're in different organizations on campus. I think it can be cliquey, but again, not in the bad term. Like I was thankful that I got to like meet a very solid group of girls as my friends my freshman year, and like we've been friends. We're all living together next year off campus, and so I would say they're kind of like my little clique, but it's not in like the Mean Girls high school type of way where it's like, oh, did you hear the gossip from someone off campus or someone? It's not that type of cliquey, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I like how small Southwestern is and how it's like, I tell my parents, I joke, I feel like I know everyone on campus. Even if I don't know their name, I know their face. And so whenever I see people that I haven't seen before, I was like, does that person go to school here? Because I swear to God, I've seen every person that goes to school here, which is nice because it's like really comforting seeing familiar faces. And even if you don't know people, like sometimes I see people walking to class, and I like wave to them just because I see them every day. And that's really nice about going to a small school. So yeah.
I definitely feel like you could also be part like of multiple groups. So I know like my first semester I joined a bunch of clubs and I dropped like half of them because I realized I just didn't have the time or like it wasn't what I expected. But like I have my friend group within like the people on my floor and in my suite and stuff like that. And then I joined a sorority. So like I know Mackenzie through that. And then like my roommate's a cheerleader. So I know a bunch of the cheerleaders. And then like my major, I'm an education major and there's only a couple of us and we all take the same classes. So I FaceTime with them all the time to do projects and stuff like that. And also like just the clubs that I'm in. So I feel like you can be part of a lot of different cliques. So it's not like exclusive. Like Mackenzie was saying, like it's not like bad cliques.
Going off that too, you actually, because it's such a small school, there's a lot of interaction classes. So like, I mean, my freshman year, my best friend was a senior and a junior, like, and that's totally normal. Where in high school, I don't think you really see that relationship as much.
Yeah, I'd agree with everyone on, yeah, you get to know everyone's face. You feel like you know everyone. But I'd also say it's a lot to do with what you do your freshman year as well as all the years to come. If you don't want to speak to anyone, I had some suite mates my first year here, and they were soccer players, but they would go straight to their room, straight to practice, straight to class, and then back. They wouldn't really, talk to anyone on our floor, as opposed to like some other people in my hallway where they were always bringing, big groups of people to study, to have some fun. But it really depends who you plug into and which groups you want to join. It's all in your hands, and no one's going to really stop you from doing that. So if there aren't any questions from the students, I would say, what is your favorite thing to do in Georgetown to everyone?
I love the farmers markets. Like they have a really good farmers market in the plaza where like Target is, but then also if you go downtown to the square, like there are food trucks, but then there's also like art stuff and then there's like clothing, and it just made me like my town has a really good farmers market and like that's what I like to do for fun. And so coming down here, I was really nervous about not being able to find anything that like I felt comfortable like with, and I find like little pieces of home within Georgetown, so it makes me feel very like comfortable. And like if I'm homesick, I just go to the town square and like I can be there.
For me, at least, I also love the farmers markets. They're so cute. There's also like random events in Georgetown, like every now and then, like little like parades or whatever. Or there's like, it was some festival and they had like a live band playing and it was like a massive farmers market and that was really cool. And they just have like little things like that all the time, which is fun. But my favorite thing for sure is definitely how like it's really like an outdoorsy type of area. So there's lots of like trails and there's like Blue Hole, which is like a little swimming area. And there's like other places to like just go like hang out in the water if that's your thing. And I think that's really cool. And it's a lot of fun for me to just like go walking and hang out in like nature and stuff. And it's very good for that.
Yeah, I would say she mentioned Blue Hole. Like that's my favorite place on this planet. It's like a nice park, and they've got a huge swimming area, and you bring your dog, and it's like the coolest.
Yeah, I'd say I'd agree with everyone. The trails in Georgetown are awesome. Lake Georgetown is awesome to go, especially in the spring or early August when you get to school. As far as coffee shops in town, I don't like to study in the same spot for too long of a period. So I do go to the coffee shops in Georgetown. Georgetown also has a great public library with like a little cafe there. So you can definitely go. Most of the coffee shops are by the Georgetown Square. So it's easy to just go to a different location and spend some money if you have some. But we'll move on to the next question. Do you get to Austin much? I'll start with this one. Yes, not as much as I thought I would. I probably go every other weekend. Sometimes it's even once every 3 weeks. I did have a party bus for my birthday, and a lot of people do have party buses, and they do go to Austin to hang out with their friends and go to different nightclubs like that. But that's different. I'll let everyone else answer.
I go to Austin pretty frequently, actually. My best friend is from Austin, and so we usually like to go, of course, like visit her house, say hi to her cat. But I go to Austin pretty frequently for like concerts and stuff, if that's your scene, if you're interested in that. I've gone a couple of times. Again, if this is your scene, I go and get piercings there pretty often. Or like for Friday the 13th, I went and got like a tattoo with my friends, which was fun. But also just like the scenery, the park, like we go to Zilker all the time. I went to ACL. Yeah, it is only like 30, 45 minutes away. And so sometimes Georgetown can feel super small and a little claustrophobic. Don't get me wrong, I love Georgetown. It's a great city. But getting to Austin is really nice to branch out, especially on the weekends. I feel like I'm like kind of living the normal college student life whenever I like walk around UT campus and kind of like see what it's like to be at a big school, but also get to go to a small school. I don't know. I love Austin. So.
Yeah, I agree. I go to Austin like all the time. I mean, there's some weeks like you can't go because you got like school stuff or whatever, but I go as much as I can. It's a lot of fun to hang out. It's like, I feel like I used to think driving 30 minutes was like really far and like a really big deal. And I was like, I'm not driving 30 minutes to go somewhere. And I'm like, that's like nothing. That's like such a short drive. And I pop over to Austin all the time. Like even sometimes on the weekdays, like after class, I have friends in Austin. If they're like, oh, do you want to get dinner? Do you want to come hang out? I'll just go over to Austin on like a Monday after classes and just go hang out. It's really easy.
First semester, I didn't have a car, so I didn't really go to Austin that much because none of my everyone in my suite were also out-of-staters, so no one brought their car. And then second semester, I got my car, so I started going to Austin more. And like Mackenzie said, like concerts and stuff, that was really fun. I'd never been to a concert before, and I've been to 2 already, so it's pretty exciting.
Next question. How easy or hard is it to get to and from the airport? I've driven a couple friends to the airport. Depends on what time of the day and what time their flight is. If it's in the morning, of course, you're going to get there in like 20, 25 minutes. If it's midday or even around 5 p.m., it'll definitely take like an hour and a half to get to the airport, and then you have to drive back to Southwestern. So it really depends what direction and what time of day. Next question, is there any place to get something like boba tea in the town or on campus?
Yes.
Boba tea at Gianfrani's, super good.
I actually also, I work at a boba place, like about 7-8 minutes from campus. It's called True Boba. The other lady who works there is really awesome, and they have really good boba, and they also have like food and stuff, and I love boba, and I drink it like way too much. It's fine, but definitely exists. I work there, so if you come to Southwestern, go to True Boba and come see me, I guess.
Next question, how would you compare Greek life at a large university compared to Southwestern? And why did you join?
So speaking from experience, I did not want to join Greek life when I first started college. Like all throughout high school, I told myself I would never get into a sorority. It's not my thing. I think it's just because I was thinking of like the stereotypes and everything. And then as soon as I came to Southwestern, I still kind of came in with like a weary mindset of I was like, you know what, I don't know, it's not really my thing. I feel like I wouldn't fit in just because I'd always think of like UT or like A&M and all my friends go to big schools and they all join sororities, and that just like kind of put me off even more. But going to such a small school, we only have four fraternities and four sororities. And so there's no matter like what sorority or what fraternity you go to, like you make friends within Greek life. Like some of my best friends are in different sororities, and it's not cliquey or stereotypical in the way that most people would think. And I really enjoyed that because I've met some of my best friends through my sorority, and I get to like help with a philanthropy. I get to meet alumni. I get to do different things around Georgetown, and while also like doing it for a good cause while also making great friends. So I personally had an amazing experience. I loved it. I'm also serving a position in my sorority, so that's really fun and good for your resume. It's a really good resume builder. It's a good way to make connections. Yeah, I love it. I have all positive things to say. So
Also, I think one thing that's like kind of, it's not really like a comparison to a bigger school, but it's more of like a perk of it being at a smaller school is there's like different, like, I guess there's different kinds. So there's like a music fraternity called Delta Omicron that you can join. And there's also another one called Katie Chi, which is all focused on like social justice and like diversity and that kind of thing, which is like a lot of fun. I didn't rush this semester because I just like didn't have any time, and everything kind of got weird, obviously. And so it didn't work out, but I'm going to rush next year for that. And I've been part of CDSJ, which is like another club that's focused on social justice that Katie Chi is involved in. So it's just like cool that there's little other types of sororities and fraternities that you can join that aren't just like the mainstream type of ones. Even
yes,
though
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I meant there's only like 4 Panhellenic and then fraternity, but then there's of course like
there's all
non
the other ones, yeah.
associated, and those are awesome, amazing, great things to say about those wonderful people.
I'll butt in on this a little bit. So I'm actually the president of one of the fraternities on campus. It's the same one Elijah's in. And I think that the environment, the Greek environment at Southwestern is it's more aligned with what you anticipate a fraternity to be as opposed to what you hear about, at bigger schools. And I think part of that has to do with the size, and part of that has to do with kind of the campus engagement. So a lot of our guys, represent, the sports team on campus, and I know a lot of the other fraternities do as well. And so you really develop like a unique relationship with a lot of the administrators and the university as a whole. So like we actually help organize and plan like a lot of events, homecoming, things like that. And so it's super involved, and it's just like another aspect of the university or another aspect of the community.
Next question, do students like to attend campus theater performances and other art performances and shows?
I definitely think so. I mean, I'm like a little bit biased because I'm like in the fine arts, so I go to all those events anyway, but I see like lots of my friends going, especially with like the theater productions. Those are super fun. I like go with my friends, and like they're always really like funny and interesting, and it's always fun to like see your friends on stage, especially because like, I mean, you'll end up seeing everyone, so they're like familiar, so it's kind of like famous actors, but like them. So it's a lot of fun, and people do go to like the art exhibitions are just open, they're just there, and so people go to those, and obviously tickets to all those events are free for students, so it's really easy to go.
So my suite mate, I think she plays like the violin, but we tried to go to a couple of like her performances, and if not, she'd always perform for us in our room. So that was always a lot of fun.
I know I usually go to the end of semester performances from the orchestra as well as the band. So that's always fun. My friends are in and they always invite me. Sometimes they have solos, and so that's always interesting to go see and support them. We also have a sing performance, which is once a year. Greek Life and other big organizations on campus do a performance for the entire school to see, and there's usually a theme. This year it was Decades in Review, so every organization chose a decade and they're always funny to watch and moving to watch. All right, next question. What is your favorite place on campus? Now, keep in mind, most of the prospective students have not visited our campus, so describe it in great detail, please.
One of my favorite places on campus is honestly just the mall. If you ever see pictures of Southwestern, you will definitely see pictures of like students on the mall with just like sun coming in, and it looks so magical. It's definitely like the main part of campus. I would say, of course, everything is surrounded around it. But one of my favorite memories is, sadly, I didn't get to really experience it this semester, but last spring semester, a couple of my friends and I, we like got a couple of picnic blankets, laid outside, had some drinks, had some snacks, and I swear there was probably like 20 different groups of people out on the mall, and they were like throwing frisbees, like playing music. Some dude was like playing hacky sack, another dude was like playing a guitar. It was straight out of a movie from like an early 2000s like teen movie. It was amazing. I loved it. It was so beautiful outside. So that's definitely one of my favorite places to be on campus is the mall. Yeah.
I'll say there's a bunch of like Southwestern used to have a golf course on it, and there's like a whole bunch of trails out there that they're kind of overgrown and stuff, and you can go explore. And a lot of times kids will be walking around and they'll leave stuff all over the place, and so you can like go and you'll see like a stack of rocks or a flower that obviously a student or somebody placed, and it's cool to just go out there and maybe take a pirate bike and go bike around and hang out back there.
Personally, I really like the fine arts building because I'm in there all the time. It's really like all of like the buildings inside, like the fine arts building and the science building, they have lots of like glass, so there's like lots of light and stuff, and they're really pretty inside. But outside of like, for not like buildings being outside, I love the hammocks. So right, like there's a long sidewalk just going down like all the buildings, and a little past like where you eat and where the cafeteria and stuff is, there's like a whole set of trees with like hammocks in it, and I love like just laying in them and just chilling there. That's on the mall, but that's like a little small part of it. It's really relaxing to like go there after class and just lay.
Say my favorite place on campus, I really enjoyed the library, just because like if I need time to just like time to myself, time to do schoolwork, just like even just like to watch Netflix by myself, I'll go up to like the third floor and like I'll just go wearing pajamas, and I would just go up there, throw on like Criminal Minds and just like relax, and I know that like no one's gonna bother me up there. And then eventually I do get some schoolwork done, but I don't know, it's comfortable. So
For me, I would say it's the newest science building. There was a year where the building was cut in half when they were like adding the newest part to it, and it was so cold to go to class in the winter and super warm to go in the spring and early fall. But once the new building arrived, that is where I studied. I love the rooms that are on the third and fourth floors. They're so big. They have like these big monitors that you can hook up your laptop, go with some friends and like watch a movie, or like, I don't know, whatever you want to watch in those rooms. I've seen people watching football games up there, so that's always super fun. And then they have great big windows, and so there's always lots of sunlight, which is very great. If you're stressed out, I love sunlight when I'm stressed out, so that's where I always go. Moving on, can everyone down the line, and I'll name everyone individually, talk about their major and maybe like a favorite class or an internship that has that you've done for that major? Starting with Mackenzie, please.
Okay, so like I said, I'm a psych major. So I would probably say my favorite class that I've taken so far was probably lifespan development. it was with an adjunct, so sadly she's not still at Southwestern, but I loved Professor North. She was just so caring about her students. Not only that, but like the material was so interactive in a way that we were talking about like the developmental stages that everyone goes through from like birth all the way through death, and the different psychological stages and how it's mental and physical, and how even though we're all different, we all are essentially the exact same in the way that like it's crazy to think about how really truly similar we all are when it comes down to like talking about our experiences and the different things that go through our mind. So that's probably my favorite class that I've taken. Right now I'm taking a survey of research methods class, which is a class I have to take for my major in order to take any high level psych classes, which is not too fun, especially for online learning. The teacher's great. I love Dr. Neighbors, but I think it's just a little bit of a difficult class, but I'm trekking through. Other than that, that's all I've pretty much done for my major that is pretty notable. My minor, I'm almost done with my minor, my race and ethnicity studies minor. I have one more class I have to take. So that's been really fun. Some of my favorite classes I've taken is Latin Spiritualities with Professor Sendejo. Loved her, amazing woman. I've taken, of course, like Intro to Anthropology with Mel John, amazing woman, such an interesting class. Yeah, so I've taken lots of different classes, and the liberal arts education has allowed me to take those. So yeah.
Grace.
So I'm an education major, and I really like, I mean, I've only taken a couple education classes, but I really like all of them because they're all super hands-on, and I actually get to go into the schools in the Georgetown School District and implement what I'm learning in the classrooms at the elementary schools or middle schools or high schools. So this semester I'm taking second language acquisition, which is like ESL, so teaching English as a second language. And I got to work with a third grade student, and I got to learn how to do like reading assessments and writing assessments and listening assessments. And although that does not sound fun, I have a new bestie in third grade, and she's super cool, and she like invited me to her house, and I was like, I'm sorry, like I can't go, it's against the rules, but like maybe if I ever see you, like I'll wave again, like it's gonna be okay. One class that I really enjoyed taking that was not part of my major was my FYS, and that was understanding race and racism, and is with Mel John, and it was like mind-blowing. Like I thought I was like pretty cultured. I was like, I know lots of things, I've traveled, like I'm not gonna learn anything from this class. And I went in the first day, and she was just like so straight, like coming at me, and I was like, wow, like this class is intense. And then I loved it, and it's the coolest class ever. So yeah.
Evan.
So I'm a psychology major as well. I'm actually just finishing up my research capstone. So capstone is like a program that all the majors have, and it's got your final thesis class to apply for your major. But I just got done with a year-long study on makeup use. We actually like built a lab in my professor's lab with Dr. Perilou and camera.
Nilla, if you want to go on ahead, we'll get back to Evan.
Okay, sure. I am, so for my music major, I think my favorite class, how do I even think? I really like going to ensemble. It's a lot different, like just the whole environment of being in ensemble in college is like really different from how it was in high school. It's like similar in a lot of ways, but it's a lot more like you get to challenge yourself as a musician, and it's more like it's exactly whatever you like make of it, basically. If you want to like learn harder music on the side, you can, and it just ensemble is a lot more fun, I guess. And then I'm also a psych major. I haven't really done a lot with that, but outside of like classes, I think being like in the music program has helped me like get a lot of like professional gigs, which is really cool because like I get to go play my instrument, which I love, and then I get paid for it. Like recently I played a wedding and I played it on my viola, which is like not even my primary instrument, but it was a lot of fun because I got to be there, and I actually saw our old president. He's not here anymore, but I ended up seeing him and talking to him too. So it's really cool. You just get to hang out in Georgetown and meet different kinds of people with that.
So I am Evan's roommate, and I know a lot about his capstone. So he just texted me to finish that up. Basically, his capstone is looking at how makeup influences attraction and how evolutionary functions in your brain have evolved to either assess certain makeups for certain age groups and how the differences between all the age groups. And his study focused on trying to find a difference and maybe some bigger patterns on that. I'd say for me, I'm a biochemistry major, and my favorite class has been biochemistry lab. That sounds kind of nerdy, and I didn't think it was going to be that interesting, but it's actually been this semester, and I've learned so much. I feel like it's prepared me to go get a job in biochemistry or just like read more papers that will prepare me for medical school. So I think that's my favorite one. Psychology wise, I am a psych minor, and I'd say evolutionary psychology has been my favorite. It kind of combined my bio background with psychology, and it just gets down to the nitty gritty on some of the evolutionary mechanisms that we have on like why we're attracted to people and why we form coalitions with people and why we might distrust them in certain times and certain cues. So it's really interesting. I highly recommend if you are looking into psychology when coming to Southwestern. Next question, do you think SU is helping you find a job and opportunities after you graduate? I guess since I was talking about this, I'll start. I'd say absolutely yes. I will be applying to medical school. I am applying a year later than most of my peers. So that means I'll be taking a gap year, but hopefully I'll be either teaching some kind of natural science to public education, or maybe finding some research in a biochemistry lab or even a psychology one. Does anyone else want to talk about that?
I definitely agree. It's really easy to find like opportunities, especially because I think because it's so small, like all the alumni are like really connected with the school. And so they like really work with just like finding different kinds of opportunities. There's like emails and all kinds of things all the time just for all kinds of different opportunities with them. I recently just applied to like a shadowing program that's with some of the alumni that have graduated and now like open their own practice or work somewhere, and they're like, oh yeah, you guys can come shadow with us. And outside of that, like finding music gigs, I'm already like, doing stuff for like what I want to do in the future. And so I think that's really cool, especially since I'm only a first year and already getting to like get a lot of hands-on like experience just doing what I want to do already.
I would also say Southwestern is really good about helping its students kind of transition into the working world. This past like winter break transition to spring semester, I got to take part in the SOAR Summit, which was something put on by the Career and Services kind of the CCPD. For some reason I can't think of what it's the acronym
The
is.
Center for Career and Professional Development.
Yes,
CCPD.
you get it. Amazing. So the SOAR Summit was something that I had to apply to, but it was about 50 sophomores, and we had like a 2 to 3 day little conference kind of talking about different ways to enter the job world, whether it's like interviewing different skills or learning how to talk to people, learning how to build your resume, learning how to apply for internships, which is really cool just because I wouldn't consider myself someone like super involved in the business world just because I want to hopefully go into therapy, but they were so receptive of that, and they brought in alumni, and so I got to talk to an alumni who has her own practice, and she's her own talked about how she went to grad school and then how she got her PhD, and she ended up giving me her card, and I'm hopefully going to be after college applying to grad school and then possibly getting my PhD. And so being able to have that connection just through something that Southwestern wanted to put on just for like the goodness was really cool. And I got to meet also fellow peers and learn about what it's like to be an adult. So yeah, it was super fun.
Another cool thing is that like you guys have mentioned before, is that a lot of people in the community trust the Southwestern students. So one thing that we have on campus is this club called Best Buddies, and they work with a big organization in town, and it's like adults who have like autism or they have Down syndrome and stuff like that, and they work, and I'm not exactly sure what big is. Like I know my buddy, her name is Emma. She's in like her mid-20s, but she makes a lot of artwork there. But for some reason, I also feel like it might be a grocery store, and I think they have a cafe. So I'm not really sure, but it sounds really cool. But since I'm part of that club, and I was already working with Emma, I was part of the club, and then I was like, oh, I'm looking for a job. And they knew that I was an education major and I want to work in the special ed departments and stuff. They were like, oh, we'll come and hire you. Like, you can just work with Emma. So, like, I get to go hang out with Emma and, like, take her to farmers markets and, like, take her swimming and do arts and crafts with her. And I still get to, like, implement some of the stuff that I'm learning in schools. But I also get to, like, hang out with her all the time. So that was pretty cool.
Evan, do you want to try and chime in before we wrap it up?
Yeah, sorry, I've got a 3-year-old.
Still not working.
I'll jump on in real quick to plug in and emphasize what Mackenzie was talking about. The Center for Career and Professional Development is awesome. I'd highly recommend, even if you have no idea what you want to do with your life, I would go your freshman year and ask them, talk to them, what are your interests? They have this whole wall of printouts for every major, and on that printout for every major is a list of jobs that people have acquired with their Southwestern degree. So they have it by majors. So all the places psychology majors have gone to, they have the top ones listed. They also have just different career paths. They emphasize what you can do with that degree as far as graduate schools. So Alex Anderson and the team there, Daniel, they're great. I worked there for one summer and I just know all the work they put in. I was there when they were planning the store event that Mackenzie attended. And so I know the hard work that they put in is paying off. As far as them helping me personally, I took a personality test there, the Myers-Briggs. It was a professional one. And it really explained a lot of the things I've done in my life. And it kind of set me on a general direction on where I should go moving forward. Other than that, they've also helped me acquire pre-med internships. So before all this COVID happened, I was shadowing at the St. David's Georgetown Hospital. And I was on 10 different rotations for 10 different weeks. And they range from the ER to like just outpatient surgery and different things like that. So it's awesome. The substitute assignment, because I didn't finish that internship, was to meet alumni and discuss with them their career pathways. So I interviewed this past week 3 different positions. And so that was fun. And I got their contact information and they gave me like, ask me any questions in the future. If you need any help, let me know. So having that support from alumni and the Center for Career and Professional Development has been awesome for my life personally.
Fabulous. I can't thank all of you enough. You have been amazing. This has been a wonderful panel. We did have one question about roommates, and roommates are assigned by the questionnaire. However, if you have met someone, if you were able to already visit Southwestern and you met someone on that visit and you wanted to room with them, you can request that. Unfortunately, we had hoped during our Sprague week that you would be able to meet some people and perhaps find your roommate. As we all know, that had to be moved to a virtual event this year, and we are sorry about that. But if some connections come up, we are still going to be having some meetings like this, although a little more face-to-face with you, Zoom meetings, and you do make a connection with someone, absolutely you can request them for your roommate. But for the most part, it is done through the questionnaire, just so you know that. All right, so for tomorrow, we will have our fine arts presentation at 3 o'clock. And then after that, we will have a group of an alumni and current parents to talk with all of our parents in particular, but students, we would love for you to listen in if you want to. And then after that, then we do have another student panel with another group of students to answer your questions. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening and go Pirates.